Hey, welcome to this video where we're going to jump in and I'm going to show you kind of how I organize files and my folders and project folders and things within Resolve. I've had a few questions about just the database. Where's Resolve saving the project files and that kind of stuff. So we're going to go over those today. Let's jump over to the computer and check it out. All right, so here we are in DaVinci Resolve. One thing to note, if you're coming from Premiere, it's not going to save the project file with your project files, if you will. So if you have footage or, audio or, graphics or whatever, where you're saving on your Finder window or in your folders, your project file is not going to save there. It's going to be in its database location in a different part of your hard drive or on a different hard drive altogether. There are ways to get around this, and there are ways if you are editing multiple videos that have a similar starting point. So instead of starting from scratch, you want to start with some things already imported, things on the timeline, stuff like that. You can save your project elsewhere as well so that you can import it and load it for another project later. In here, this is where all that's at. I'm gonna pull in my Finder window and just show you kind of how I organize my projects and what I do here. So first things first, I have a template folder that I duplicate for all my different videos that I do. And just first thing is project. So this is where the project starter file is. This .drp is where I save my project as a template, if you will, and then I can bring that in. I just double click that, or I can come over here and import a file, import the project, and it'll bring that project into the window. I can also just double click right here. Like I said, it'll open it up and it's gonna import it into its database location. It's not gonna be saved right here on this file from that point on. You'll have to resave over that file specifically if you wanted to save the changes to that file. So I'll show you how to do that in just a minute, but that's where the project file is. Footage, this is where I put all my A-roll, B-roll, the look, like if I have some LUTs or presets or things that I want the look just to always be there, that'll import a screen capture recording, music and audio, sound effects, graphics. This is where I do like the thumbnail edits as well as any After Effects or text animations or anything I got to do to bring in. Packaging is, packaging is where I do the thumbnail. This graphics is just for things that are going to be in the video. Packaging is like all the promotional materials or anything I'm doing. So thumbnails and things like that. That's where all that is. And then delivery, that's where the final projects are going to land. So this is the file structure I have. It keeps it really simple. It's really easy to navigate. And then when I'm in Resolve, I kind of keep that same structure. So let's go ahead and I will just double click on this and open it. This is a really plain project. I don't have anything on timelines, but you can see it's loading that in that window. And then boom, here's the template. I have all the timelines already here, current timelines. So it's like my final cut. That's where all the final cuts are going to be made. I have a folder for nests if I'm nesting sequences or timelines. Old is if I make some changes and I want to save the old, I'll duplicate that timeline and put it in there just in case I make some changes that I don't like. I can always come back to those old reference timelines. And then we have all the media. So we have all the audio folders. That's where you're going to drop all the audio. Footage, that's where you're going to drop the footage. Graphics, standard assets for just anything, like if it's a look or if it's things from a sponsored video that I need to put in there, that kind of stuff. So that's the structure. It opens up that in Resolve. It's all ready to go. This one, I have it. It doesn't have any of my stuff in it. My actual one that I duplicate or I bring in will have like, preset adjustment layers and things that are already on the timeline that I do every video. So it's already there, but that's what you can do. Now, let me show you how you save that file. So for here, you can save bins. So you can actually come up and you can right click and you can export a bin, and that's gonna just export that one bin. Any of those files, let's say you have all your A-roll or your B-roll, and you want to export that B-roll bin. What that's gonna do is when you import that into another project, it's gonna bring all of those same B-roll clips in that bin in that project. So if you have one area where you keep all your B-roll and you're always pulling it into multiple projects, you can save out a B-roll bin and then just bring that into each project. Another way to just save the project itself is to come up and go to export project. So this is where I've exported this project. It'll save it as a .drp. Okay, so that right there, this is DaVinci Resolve project. That's the thing I opened up at the beginning. So it's going to save everything in your project, all the folders, all that stuff. Now, if the things are unlinked, you might have to go back and link files and footage and that kind of stuff if they've moved different locations. But this is going to save all your effects. Like if you have things on the timeline, you already have color corrections done, that kind of stuff. It's going to save everything in that project. That's how you save it. So if you're going to keep saving over and you want to be able to open up that project somewhere else or whatever, that with all the changes you've made, you're going to want to save over that same project that we already opened before. Otherwise, you're just going to work as in a database where, let me just close this project. In this database, so this is the project starter that we just loaded. You're going to want to just work off the database. Just know that when you're in Resolve, you don't ever have to open up projects. You just open up Resolve, and then you find the project within the window and you open that up, and that's going to link back to all the footage and the files you have in there as long as you didn't move them and that that chain didn't break. And I'll show you a different video on how to fix that if some things are, the media is missing or that kind of stuff. I'll show you how to fix that in a different video. But for this one, just know that in Resolve, your project files are all in one location, and you just go through Resolve to open them up. You don't have to open it up from the Finder window itself. But I did show you how to do that if you wanted to create a template, or if you were going to a different computer and you wanted to bring all that, you would just copy all this footage and open that on a different computer. There you go. If you weren't on a network or whatever, you have all your files and stuff that you need. Real quickly, I'm going to show you another difference. So I told you about the .drp, which is the project file. I have a little notes over here. There's also something called a .dra, and this is a project archive database. So you can take this and hit right click right here, export project archive. Now this itself will take all your media with it. So all the video footage, all the images, anything you import into that project, it will save to that archive file. So it's going to be potentially a really big file. So you got to be careful with that. But that is how you archive your projects. If you want to get them out of Resolve and move them somewhere else, save and export that project archive file with all the file folders, that I showed you earlier, and you'll be able to open that later and it'll all be in that. Like it's going to have everything there all in one file. So that's the difference between a .dra and a .drp when saving from DaVinci Resolve. Hopefully this was helpful. I know I went through that really quick, but it's just something that I've had some questions on, and I wanted to go and help you. If you're coming from Premiere or a different editing software, it might be a little different than what you're thinking. So hopefully that helped explain that and make that a little bit easier to understand. And if it did help, hit like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.